We're doing some pretty important retests right now, and it's a question of, do we hold these prices or do we end up dropping a little bit lower? And I want to talk about that in this video with you guys. But right now, we're seeing the Fed split. And this is an interesting way. It's not repeating what has happened before. We do need to talk about that, what Jerome Powell said in front of Congress yesterday. And I do want to highlight just a few other things going on around the space as well. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. It's been growing like crazy, and it's all because of you guys. So I will say here, ADA is just kind of floating around where it was over the last 24 hours, about 57.80 or so, not making up a ton of space here. And what we are doing is actually, again, retesting this long-term trend, just like we did in yesterday's daily candle. Here we are yet again, great bounce off of it in the overnight hours. But it's a question of, what do we get as the day progresses? Now, I will say that there is some profit taking going on around the space. We're seeing a lot of red. BTC actually printing about 1% of green today. We did, in fact, break 107, which is the highest price we have seen since all the way back on June 17th. We are broken out above that 20-day moving average. So that's a really good sign for BTC. And frankly, it could be a good sign of confidence in the crypto market. Something I want to point out here, guys, USDT dominance looks very close to breaking down. This is actually testing its long-term trend here as well. Could we do one of these where we get a little bit of a breach, maybe a retest kind of down here around 4.65% or so, maybe a bounce from there? I'm not sure. We'll have to watch and see how things are digested in the market. I will say that, we're getting, again, another week of huge institutional buying. BlackRock yesterday bought $436 million worth of BTC, $588 million from institutional players alone. Big day again on the Ethereum side too. BlackRock bought almost 100 million there. Came to a net day of 71 million. So they're out the gates and running this week. And that's good, because when there is, again, more confidence in the crypto market, you can see altcoins do incredible things. All right. Now, I'm not saying, again, that this is the moon part of the cycle or anything like that. We got to be patient and again, let a lot of this capital flow back in. That's how you build the excitement. That's how you get to adoption. All right. But if BTC does keep doing what it's doing here, if we keep getting the strength from institutional players, from whale accumulation, we might be talking about some extended prices in terms of ADA and other assets around the crypto space. Just want to show everybody, again, big target right here, about 61.50 or so. If we can get past that in terms of ADA, we'll be in a very, very good spot here. Now, something I want to talk about is the Fed, because people don't realize that right now the Fed is in fact split on what they're going to do in July. Now, what Jerome Powell said in front of Congress was this, that the Fed is well positioned for the time being to wait and learn more about likely course of the economy before adjusting policy. Increased tariffs are likely to push up on inflation, weigh on economic activity. So this is basically the same garbage that has been echoed month after month after month by the Fed as they hold, and countries around the world are cutting rates. All right. The US has some of the highest rates around the world right now, and people realize this. In fact, Fed members are realizing this. Like we talked about yesterday, we did in fact see Michelle Bowman comment and say, yeah, right now, these tariffs are not causing the inflation that people thought that it would. So we might be on track for interest rate cuts in July. I know I mentioned this yesterday, but I want to point out, we are starting to get some of these other Federal Open Market Committee members getting very vocal about this. Michelle Bowman did, Christopher Waller did. So the Fed is in fact split on what the decision is going to be in July. That's good, because remember, they vote on this. Now, why I thought this was very interesting is if we remember the interest rate decreases that we had in September, you have to ask yourself, who was voting what direction? So it was almost a unanimous vote except for one person, Michelle Bowman. Michelle Bowman was the person that actually voted against interest rate decreases last time we had a rate decrease. So the fact that she has now flipped and saying that we should do an interest rate decrease, that I think is a pretty good sign for what needs to happen. All right. So what I will say here as well is that Morgan Stanley, lost my train of thought, guys. Morgan Stanley is actually expecting the Fed to deliver 7 rate cuts in 2026, starting in March, bringing the terminal rate down to 2.5 to 2.75%. Now, this is also following the 2 expected rate cuts here in 2025. So you could see a big sweep of rate decreases heading into next year, meaning that, again, the idea that this market cycle could extend into 2026 is likely becoming more of a reality as time progresses here. Now, I did want to bring something up here as well. There's a lot of negativity surrounding Cardano and Charles Hoskinson. For example, Corey Bates made this post in 2024 saying Cardano will flip Bitcoin. And then in 2025, Cardano should buy Bitcoin. And I think that this a lot of people that have this argument against buying BTC for the Cardano treasury, maybe there's some validity to it, but I will say this. It's like the US dollar people saying that we shouldn't have gold to help back the US dollar because it's gold, because it's a different asset. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? If you're parking some of the value in BTC and using that to help back the value of the Cardano ecosystem, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And maybe people disagree, but people just try to poke fun and just say whatever they can to try to discredit obviously what Cardano is doing. And I think that there's a huge opportunity again for Cardano and ADA to make up some significant ground here in 2025. But we're obviously undergoing some pretty big changes around the crypto market. Right now, retail is trying to determine, do we have the same PTSD that we've always had, or not always had, but here in 2025 have had, and are we now taking profits? Is this the time where we see a little bit of retracement and head back down? Okay, so that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you as always. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.